Marvel's Eternals has shaken up the history of the MCU as we knew it and introduced an exciting new unexpected member of the Marvel Studios family. So let's talk about these post-credit scenes.
Come to my tent, we'll talk there.
BD here with your breakdown of the Eternals post-credit scenes. You'll also get my full reaction to the movie at the end of this video. This video will be long and full of spoilers, so consider this your warning. Let's jump in. First of all, you either saw Eternals or you have a Twitter account, so you know by now that the first post-credit scene sees Harry Styles debuting in the MCU as Eros, aka Star Fox. This is a very interesting move, as Star Fox in Marvel Comics canon is a pretty controversial character. Yes, he is the brother of Thanos, and yes, he is technically an Eternal. Eros is basically the opposite of Thanos, though, having never taken life very seriously and spending most of his time being a womanizer. He started to take things a bit more seriously when Thanos killed their mom in the destruction of Titan, but after Titan was gone, Eros was like, I got nothing keeping me here, so he went off planet for some more recreational activities. Ultimately, Star Fox lands himself in court on Earth after a number of women accuse him of sexual assault, claiming he used his mind control-like powers to seduce them into sexual activities. Not cool, bro! He has even hooked up with She-Hulk while he was fighting with the Avengers, but it's revealed he didn't use his powers on her for sex stuff, but instead he manipulated her relationship with J. Jonah Jameson's son, John Jameson. As punishment for his actions, Eros has his powers taken away from him, a ruling also aided by his use of powers earlier in his life on his brother Thanos as a kid, which resulted in, well, Thanos. Alongside Eros is Pip the Troll, the most CGI-looking thing in the entire Eternals movie. Much like Eros and Thanos, Pip was created by Jim Starlin, but his original purpose was to become a foil to Adam Warlock. Pip is voiced by Patton Oswalt and hasn't appeared in a comic since 2011. Then we have the second post-credits scene, which sees Kit Harington's Dane Whitman coming face-to-face with the Ebony Blade. This is so cool, I love this scene. The Ebony Blade was named earlier in Eternals when Sprite asked Thena about a sword she was holding, only to learn it wasn't the Ebony Blade, but Excalibur. This is important because it does show a history between Eternals characters and the family history that Dane Whitman...
It's a man's sword. Take a man to wield it.
Was about to tell Cersei of in the final moments before Arishem the Judge yanked her from Earth. The Black Knight is a character who, as Dane said, has a complicated family history. In his lineage is a series of warriors, including villains, and they get their powers from the Ebony Blade, a weapon that can cut through anything but corrupts its users after too much use. Think of it kind of like the Ring in Lord of the Rings, but also it's a little different. But that's the easiest comparison. Dane inherits a castle from his uncle Nathan Garrett and ultimately passes the test of the Ebony Blade and learns of its history from Sir Percival. This is where it gets interesting. Sir Percival of Scandia has family ties to King Arthur, and Arthur seems to have been fond of Thena back in his day, if that conversation I mentioned just a minute ago between Thena and Sprite is any indication, because Sprite did say Arthur did always like you. I'm thinking Sir Percy might have been the voice asking Dane if he's ready for the blade before the screen cut to black, if not just one of Dane's outright ancestors. All things considered, from the Eternals movie and Marvel Comics, it seems like an interwoven history between Black Knights and Eternals, but also a very interesting future as well. In fact, Dane's future is the thing I'm most excited to see explored in the MCU down the road out of everything introduced in this movie, especially considering that he helps the Avengers stop Kang the Conqueror in comics, and Kang, well, he's really shaping up to be the next big MCU bad guy.
This is wild.
Reaction time! I didn't love Eternals. There's a lot in it that I really liked, and a lot in it that I didn't. I do think this movie may have been better off if it wasn't even a Marvel movie, because the canon felt like it somewhat restricted just how ambitious Chloe Zhao was being with it. I think 10 characters is a lot of heavy lifting when they're all being introduced at the same time as a massive new concept for the history of the MCU. Phastos and Kingo were probably my favorite characters. Gilgamesh had a very cool and calm demeanor about him that I really enjoyed, and he just had so much power lurking within him. And Makkari had a brilliant energy on screen. Props to Lord Ridloff, and she also had the best action sequence of the whole movie when she beat up Icarus. The Icarus twist was very interesting. I really liked it, but I liked the movie more the second time knowing he was the bad guy and having more of an inherent tension with other characters throughout those scenes. I probably would have liked the twist more if it came earlier in the movie, but I think they were going for a big shocking payoff where this presumed leader was going to actually be evil, and it might have worked more if I had gotten more attached to Icarus, but I didn't find myself super emotionally invested in any of the characters, so I wasn't too fond of him anyway. This is also true of when Gilgamesh died. I liked the character, but I was a little bit disappointed to not feel the weight and the pain that Thena was going through. I hope some of you did, and I hope it landed for some people. It didn't connect with me. The exposition dump where Arishem explains everything to Cersei was really heavy-handed, and I don't know how they could have done it better, But also for me, that was just too much story all at the same time. I did love the parallels to religion and people who act on beliefs and the inherent dangers that can come with such radical perspectives as portrayed through the actions of Icarus. And I also enjoyed how each Eternal had their own take on what should or shouldn't happen, with some of them landing in a gray area like Kingo did. That's a good exploration of humanity. Overall, I thought the movie was totally worth watching, especially as a Marvel fan, and I love the diversity that gets featured in the film, and it all just kind of just feels like it fits. It's just organic and natural, so I don't see how anybody could have a complaint about that. It's nice to see this representation on screen, and I hope as these characters continue in the MCU that I'll find myself more attached to them, and I look forward to some more energized scenes with them, as I found myself loving Kumail Nanjiani's quick wittiness along with Kingo's hilarious valet in the post-credit scenes that set up seemingly more electric and exciting moments to come in the future. Overall, I'm sticking with my 6 out of 10 for Eternals, which in my opinion is just enough to give it a good review. I'm sorry, I really wanted to love this one, but ultimately, I just liked it a little. I liked it much more than Venom Let There Be Carnage, not as much as Shang-Chi or Black Widow. Call me crazy in the comments, it's fine.
Oh, you're not so crazy.
What would you rate Eternals out of 10? Who was your favorite character in the movie? Drop your answers to those questions in response to this video so I know you watched this video through to the end, and hit me up on Instagram at BrandonDavisBD if you want to talk more. We'll have more discussions on the Phase Zero podcast and an in-depth, spoiler-filled interview with Eternals producer Nate Moore on our November 10th episode 44. I'm BD, I'll see you there.